Welcome back, everybody. Today, something a little bit different. So I've got mapped out a little bit of an idea of somewhat of a battle scenario. So lots to do. Let's crack on. So today we'll be drawing Vigo, our creepy little monster kind of dude. And sort of chose him because it's kind of not basic, but I don't know. I feel like I've drawn him so many times and talked about him so often that he just sort of feels like such an easy character, sort of to explain and doodle, and a little bit easier to talk while I'm drawing. Saying that, I'm already kind of losing what I was on about. But yeah, so we've got Mingo. We've got a couple of little homunculi friends for him. And we've got a couple of enemies for him to sort of deal with this time. So everything to do with the actual fight itself is already been sort of pre-decided. So there won't be any rolling per se for that. So it's just sort of a little example of what, a single turn could look like, and sort of the idea of what his abilities do and how they kind of look. Yeah. So yeah, it should be kind of cool to do, actually. I did do a little test one of this before, and unfortunately I wasn't in focus, so I couldn't actually do that. So yeah, take number 2. But that's fine. So yeah, we don't want to do too much detailing really, because just in case I mess up this video too, I can have another cup of tea and give it another go. So for this, I'm just going to do with a few little bags on his back, because at the end of the day in the game, it's all about traveling and traversing the wastes and sort of gathering as much as you can for the half ship to continue working and continue being a safe home for the characters that you play with, the lures. So yeah, in between, encounters with enemies and finding places to sleep and safe and all that stuff, there is a lot of gathering. So this is what this stat is: discovery. It's all about how much you can find in each sort of turn. But we won't be doing that today. It's more, well, you'll see why we're doing that. So there's Vigo, almost done. We're going to add his little scythe arm in the back as well. I'm still not too sure if the scythe stuff will make it into the character, sort of the starting character, or it will be an upgrade, or maybe even like a weapon that you find. Because it always reminds me of the beggar character from oh no, I forgot her name. Dawn. Definitely shouldn't forget her name. I made her up. Right, okay. And yeah, cool. Go on, that's Vigo. So we got some stats here, and we'll talk about what they are briefly. So you got breath. Breath is your stamina, essentially. Discovery is the ability to use like small, sharp weapons to find that little, exposed bit in foes and enemies' armor, as well as actually. Sorry, it's really hard to talk while writing of a different thing. So Discovery is also about finding stuff, so that will kind of make sense later. And this, we'll talk about the breath system in a little bit. So our first little homunculi, which will be a very quick, scratchy little drawing, is our lovely Marjorie. Now, as we go through each homunculi, and there'll be, well, there was 4, but I think for balance and reasons of the game, I think 3 is probably more likely to make it to the end result of the game rather than 4, because that's a lot of stuff going on otherwise, and I think 3 is a good number. It's a magic number after all, right? And so each homunculi has sort of a special feature. They also have passives, but I haven't added it to this little example game bit because of time. And we're naming them 2, name that 1, and that will make sense in a second. And so what Marjorie does is she can, I won't need to outline this is silly. So what she can do for a foraging action, she can find a weapon and actually use it as long as it's simple. So simple weapons are, small hacksaws and blades and, broken bits of sharp metal that she can use to actually, as her basic attack. So there's a little bit of a trade-off because with that you have to use an action to go and forage, and then hopefully, if you're lucky, you find something, but it's not 100% that you will find it, So there is that little bit of a trade-off. And because it, even though it does sound incredibly overpowered, I mean, you could forage something a couple of times and never actually get it. So, yeah. But there is like different items and effigies and talismans that will help that sort of thing. The second character is Bernie. Yes, I know, the names are great. Bernie, its special is a stone's throw. So as a ranged attack, always, as long as you roll for the special. But we'll talk about that in a second. And then for this specific little encounter, I've added the talisman, Lucky Foot. And what that does is at the start of your turn, you have a free movement action, which is really useful for characters that are slow, just like Vigo, who has a very slow movement of 1. But that will make sense, and still trying to balance everything. So, hopefully we can explain that a little bit better at some point. But I thought this would just be really cool, actually. So that's what he's starting with today. That makes sense. Cool. We've got a couple of little enemies here as well. So this is a rogue traveler, and essentially what happens is, those that do not have a half ship or a safe place, they kind of get lost in the wastes, and the world itself being so terrifying and monstrous that they kind of lose the sense of who they are and become somewhat monstrous in their actions and choices. So yeah, just a really quick little sketch of this guy, and he kind of looks like the engineer from the video we did a couple of weeks ago. And I guess he kind of looked, yeah, he probably is. He probably was, an engineer, maybe even from the half ship. And there is events that, those that you are working with, well, they those that look after the ship for you, not so much the lures, but these little characters, that do foraging for you and hunting and things like that. And you have to sort of, in a sense, employ them. But more about that another time. So yeah, he probably was an engineer that sort of went rogue, maybe got lost. And like I said, there's different things that happens that could cause them to disappear. And if they're not being looked after, there's a sense of management and looking after those that are under your care. And if you don't, they can leave you, which can be quite disruptive. But sometimes it's better to lose them than to, sacrifice everyone's safety on the ship. It's a very cutthroat sort of game. Alright, we got a little spiked scythe like implement. And super sketchy, but that's what I kind of wanted to do today. Otherwise it'd be here all day. Right. Yep. Yeah, that'd be cool. We'll name that number 4. You'll see why everyone's got numbers. And that's the rogue traveler. We've got some more information here about, we'll come back to it later. It depends what happens. The next enemy we've got is a harvester. So a mechanical little creature that not really sure its origins or how it came to be, but probably at some point some sort of group probably had it, and the group's probably gone, and it's sort of just gone about doing its own thing, but maybe driven mad by the loneliness itself of the world. Who knows? Either way, it's a naughty robot, and it is an enemy. So, which are a little bit trickier to deal with, the sort of the mechanical enemies in this game, simply because there's a lot of things such as attacks like severing, and you can't sever mechanical parts at the moment. I mean, it sort of makes sense with the balancing of the enemies and stuff, but that might change in future. But who knows? Yeah. So it kind of looks like a little mini half ship as well, which is kind of cool. So we'll just do some little wires down here, and that'll be fine. And we'll call that number 5. And then this is, if we're really lucky, we'll get to use this, which is what we were talking about with Marjorie, that can pick up basic tools, sort of very basic weapons. And this is also the same sort of things you would stick on Nilfa, the character that we did the other day, and sort of it makes it more interesting, doesn't it? Right, so here we have our little tree of... So this is a sort of an example of the mini games that every character has. Vigo's is he can somewhat control these homunculi. So what we're going to do is we're going to roll these 4 dice. Each homunculi can do 2 actions, if they choose to. You don't have to. You can save an action for the next turn if you want. There will also be effigies and talismans and different items that will allow for more dice to be used, or re-rolls, etc, etc. So what I do, because I already know what's going to happen in this little fight scene, I'm going to roll these and see if anything changes the fight. So even though it's only a small part of it, it can add quite a lot. So let's see how we do. Okay, so we got 2 4s. Oops, 2 4s, a 2 and a 3. 4s are the help action. So at the moment, all I'm using help action for is to help push Vigo along. So because Vigo's got such small movement, he needs a little bit of an extra hand. So we've got 2 of those, which is kind of cool. We've got a 3, which is a forage. That is fantastic. Forage is exactly what we needed for Marjorie. So we'll give Marjorie the 3, because we want her to go and forage. Oh, I forgot to put the 6 on the thing. So let's put 6 there. And that's the simple saw. It's a mess, isn't it? Stick with me, it's okay. Okay, number 2 is a basic attack, 1 piercing. We're going to give that to Marjorie too. Actually, I've got an idea. I haven't quite decided yet, but it feels like it would be really useful if they always had a single movement every single turn, so you didn't have to spend too much. So I'm going to say that for this time. I forgot to say it before, but homunculi have a movement of 2 spaces, and it's just 3. Actually, let's not even do that. What we could do is use the lucky foot talisman. We'll do that so we're not fudging it too much. I just want to show you a little bit what happened. And then 2 help actions, and we'll give that both to Bernie. And we don't know where Bernie is at the moment, but we'll sort of figure it out. So if we have, there's Vigo, there's the Harvester, this dude, there's the Rogue Traveler, and there is the Simple Saw Blade. So if we have, let's have Marjorie here. So she's 2. She'll be there. Yeah. And what we're going to do for our first part of it, we're going to use the Lucky Foot Talisman. At the start of your turn, gain 1 free move action. We'll move Marjorie to this point. Use the Forage action. So now we have to we would usually roll a d12, but let's not do it today. Let's fudge it a little bit. So let's say we rolled it. So for origin, you roll your d12 plus discovery. Discovery is 3, which is your finding stuff, which is like perception. And then on a 6 plus, you find an item. You know what? We don't have a no, we don't. We don't have a d12, but we have a d10. We could try our luck, and we plus 3, so we need a 6 to find an item. Plus 3. Oh, I'm gonna fudge it. There we go. First time, no problem. So we find the simple saw. And the simple saw blade again is a d12, and my professionalism is non-existent today, and I didn't bring one. So we'll use it as a d8 today, and we'll just hopefully be lucky. So Marjorie now has a little saw blade, but you would normally get a little card, you know, sort of a mini card thingy, and you put it next to them. Okay, so that's sorted. Still has her basic attack, which is wonderful, because once the special, you can pick one, a simple tool up if you find it, and then as your normal action, attack action, you can use the weapon. So this is really cool. So Marjorie has moved along, foraged, got the simple saw blade, first time, no fudging, used the lucky foot talisman to do so. And then what we're going to do, we've talked about before in Vigo's ability list that he has something called begrudging steps. Whenever Vigo moves against something, same weight or under, they are automatically pushed. So Vigo starts here. He is going to move into this space. That's going to push the harvester adjacent here. So does that make sense so far? Begrudging steps pushed this chap there. We know that Marjorie is now here because of the movement, and also has a simple saw blade with that as well. So that'll be, for the breath, that'll be 1 breath. So we used 1 up for that 1 movement, begrudging steps. 3 breath is for his come hither. And usually we'd roll against an enemy's compos mentis, their sort of mental armor. And if we get higher than their stat, we can do things like mind control and things like that nature. But essentially, Vigo is just tempting an enemy. Oh, that's creepy. Tempting an enemy over to come to them. So Vigo's moved there, push the harvester there, and then he's going to do come hither, which brings an enemy or ally, their movement towards you in a straight line. There's upgrades that you can actually get them to go through different ways and go through traps and stuff like that, which is a huge ability. And then what we're going to do, so I've also forgotten something. Vigo has a ability, a passive, where it's called invigorating olfactory. I know, right? Say that 10 times fast. And what it is every single time he has an enemy adjacent to him, this is like his little special passive way of getting more stamina, that he is enriched by the idea of the battle, the sense of others near him. He's creepy. So he gains +1 breath for each person near him. So he's got 2 breath now, because he hasn't already used it once for that person next to him. I know, it's a little bit clunky, but we're getting there. So essentially what's happened, he's pushed him that way. Marjorie's gone off and grabbing this weapon. We haven't decided what Bernie's going to do yet. He's got 2 help actions, which is pushes. So, okay, we'll figure that out. But we'll put Bernie here. So, brought in the road traveler. He's then going to do his cleave-in attack to both of the enemies. So, both attacks. And let's say this rogue traveler didn't have very much health. He's wiped out. He's gone. Harvester had a little bit more health. And what we're going to have Marjorie do is her basic action. So use this. And that will be 2 plus Stoic. We haven't got that written down, so no worries. So that will be a 2. So deals 2 Severin, completed. You know, let's just say that. Very low health, job done. And then what we have Bernie do, is because he's got 2 help actions, which is both pushes, There's no enemies now around. Vigo is completely spent, even though he could go into excess and become exhausted the next turn, but there's no need. And Bernie, so Vigo's there. Bernie's going to push him there, push him there. Oh wait, no, he would have gone there. So 1, 1, 2. Yeah, he could go there instead. What a absolute mess. But anyway, that's a little bit of a taste of how the game works. I just kind of wanted to show you this little system of Marjorie and Bernie. So yeah, oh wow, look at that. So that would have been, we've got 3 basic attacks and a help action. So Bernie could have done his stone's throw. No, he couldn't, because that has to be special. He could have done a basic attack of, I think it's just 1 piercing, which is great, it goes for armor. But Marjorie, if she had a simple sword blade, that would be 2 rolls of damage. So potentially she could be severing a limb, if potential. You know, that's the potential of it. Yeah, anyway, I feel like I rambled really fast in this one. And I hope you enjoyed it. Anyway, you all take care. I'm going to put some dice here so it looks artsy. Maybe put one there and one there. Lovely, lovely. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it, and you all take care. Bye.